Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the herdsmen killings and, of course, the government's role in all of this. Before the break, we had Dolapo Adelano and Yemi Adamolekum, but Dolapo has stepped out now, and joining us now is Nollywood actor Deyemi Okonla. Well, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, I want to come to you now. You work in the arts. You also are very passionate about Nigeria. I mean, I've seen your posts. I've seen you at events and sort of conferences where you have spoken passionately about where you want Nigeria to be. And, you know, like I said at the beginning of the show, the last week has been very hard for a lot of Nigerians to sort of take in. And it's sort of, if you were asleep at any point, which you shouldn't have been, I mean, that was the one week where I think everybody should have woken up and, you know, put some thought into where we want this country to be headed now. And looking at the herdsmen issue, you know, we've talked about, you know, what's happening, why is it happening? From a standpoint of where you are now, you look at government, and I know a lot of Nigerians don't think government is doing enough, you know. And I still want to go back to empathy, because I think most actions stem from that. You know, if you feel empathy towards something, you also feel the need, you know, to do something as a result. Do you see that from the government?
Okay, I'm in the business of empathy. And so I find it really disheartening. I mean, the other day with the petrol tanker exploding right here in Magodo, just a few minutes from where I was, and I realized, look, the truth is that a lot of people that we put in positions of leadership are just not being responsible. They're not taking responsibility for our safety. They're not doing what is required. I mean, something as simple as making sure trucks on the roads are motorable, are supposed to be there, you know, would go through cracks in a system. So something needs to be done about the system. What really is going on? We talk about the Fulani herdsman, and I was thinking about this really deep, and I realized, I think the first thing I think the government needs to do is to give us enough information. You know, because the citizenry needs to make informed decisions. To make informed decisions, you need information. Let us know exactly what the issues are. I can bet you several committees have been created over the years. Where are the reports from these committees? Who are the people that have headed these committees? Let's know their names. Let's know what they came up with. Let's see what the findings were. Let's understand what the real issues are. And if there's anything that we can do, you know, to be a part of this coming together, because apparently there are tribal issues mixed with religious issues, mixed with whatever other kind of issues, economic issues. And I find that, look, the guys we call Fulani herdsmen, we know their cattle has been rustled for years. People go there, steal their cattle, kill the herdsmen. They've armed themselves. But they take these cattle and they travel across Nigeria. But now they're armed. So any little conflict, they're going to bring out their arms and fight. You know, and I try to think about it from that perspective. Let's not just, you know, name them, you know, and blame them. Let's see what could the issues be from their perspective. Because if we can do that, you said empathy. Empathy is really just understanding where the other person is coming from. If we can understand what the real issues are, then we can bring everybody who's concerned in this, including ourselves, and be a part of the conversation to make it right.
All right, we're gonna go to Abuja now. Sorry, I'll come back to you now, Yemi. Joining us in Abuja is Aisha Yusufu, who does very great work with activism. Aisha, can you hear me? Are you there?
Yes, I can hear you, Ebuka. Thank you for having me.
I want to talk about Mieti Allah now, because they are very important in this entire conversation, and why we don't seem to. Do you think they're doing more harm than good? Are they helping at all in this situation? Because most people sort of ascribe their name now to everything wrong, but are we utilizing them enough?
Well, basically for me, I think they are not playing enough neutral role. In as much as, yes, there is so much killings going on and it's being ascribed to a certain ethnic group, which for me I found a bit worrisome. Even when we started calling them herdsmen killers, for the first thing I did say was, the father, how do we know they are herdsmen? Is it that when they go killing, they actually go with the cows to go there? So, you know, this kind of names that we give automatically just put people on an edge. I'm a Muslim, and the first time we had terrorists, Boko Haram, everybody just assumed that every Muslim that you see is a terrorist, and people even address you as such. So I was a bit concerned about that naming of herdsmen. But coming to look at it, every religion, every tribe, every ethnicity, every gender, every race, there are criminals. And there are criminals that will always take advantage of whatever situation that is adventurous to them and use it to perpetrate their criminality. And it is for the authority to ensure that they come hard on them and do not give them enabling environment to continue to perpetrate these crimes. But in the case of the Miyetti Allah, some of the statements that have been ascribed to them haven't been so favorable. The last one, of course, we found that it's been retracted by the newspapers that published that and said it wasn't so, which thankfully that was a sigh of relief, because if such statement coming from the group, it was very worrisome. But at the same time, there's a need not to be too defensive. This issue of always, oh, it's my people, then I have to stand against it. No, it's not. Criminals are criminals, wherever tribe they are. Even if they are brothers and sisters, we should be able to come out enough and be hard on them and say this is criminality and it must be stopped. And nowhere would it go to an extent where we try to start protecting or having a sense of kinship with the criminals because we share certain futures in common with them. And I think for me, Miyetti Allah hasn't played the role that it's supposed to play. I think it needs to come hard on the criminality in its own way, and they shouldn't look at it as if it is us against them. No, it is we, all the citizens, against the criminals who are perpetrating this criminality.